Hello everyone, Prairie Prepper here, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous fall day here in the Prairie Provinces. Uh, Yesterday what we did was we went through and we planted all of next year's garlic. And that's something you want to do in the fall if you are planting hardneck garlic. Soft neck garlic can be planted in the spring, so it's not too late if you want some homegrown garlic and you can't find any hardneck anywhere. But I prefer the hard neck. It stores better. It'll be nice to have through next winter. It's kind of one of those things you're gonna plan on using, around this time next year once it's had the time to fully grow, develop, and then also cure for a little bit and, make it really nice for storage. And it's that papery feel that you get from the ones in the store is because they're well cured. What else did we do? I also started some seeds indoors, and I know that's a little bit weird. I have a zone 3 garden here, so our season is wrapping up for outdoor growing. There's just no two ways around it. There are some people who have some really complicated setups where they can continue to grow outdoors through the winter. It's just frankly more work than I want to put into it. So I've started some small things indoors. I started some more beets to have for the greens. I've started some herbs. What else did I do? Oh, I'm running a bit of an experiment this year. I don't know if it's going to go well at all. We're going to try it. We're going to try it. Just keep your expectations low is all I'm asking. So I am starting some squash and beans and peas inside. I have a lot of space, so those types of things could work for me. I've never tried growing them indoors. I've done a lot of other things like salad greens. I even did tomatoes. I usually start my tomatoes really, really early, like in January. So, I've grown tomatoes inside a lot because, frankly, when you start them that early, by the time that you're ready to get things outside, they're already like yay big and producing fruit. Little fruit, but so yeah, a couple times I tried just keeping a couple inside and, growing them there. I didn't mind it. They weren't as good as the ones that I grew outside. There's just some things that Mother Nature just does better, frankly. But the reason I'm doing this now is because at the very beginning of the pandemic, when we didn't know anything really about this virus, when people were out like panic buying, we're all gonna laugh about the toilet paper, but that wasn't the only thing people were panic buying. I just didn't feel safe going to the grocery stores. And it wasn't like, oh, I think there's gonna be a riot. I mean, I suppose there could have been. But it was more just that I'm an asthmatic and it's pretty well controlled, but we didn't know anything about how it affected asthmatics at the time. I just didn't want to take the risk. So we just didn't go out. We were fine. We had all our preps. This is one of the things that is going to live with me forever about the importance of prepping, not just for like some sort of large scale disaster like that, but just, circumstances like what if you were bedridden for a few weeks? We had enough groceries. We could have gotten through that. Even if I was like single by myself and mostly bedridden, I could have probably crawled to the kitchen and made myself something just from the foods that we had stored. Anyway, that was all well and good, but the one thing that I really missed, because it was March and we didn't have the garden going yet really, in zone 3 our frost date comes late March, our last frost date. So, yeah, nothing growing outside really at that time except for maybe a few chives. I really, really missed fresh produce in that time. We've gotten used to it as a society, just being able to go to the grocery store, pick up some bananas, pick up some apples, whatever. And I really miss fresh produce. So by the time we got delivery set up, and of course delivery was in high demand at the time, they couldn't start for probably, I think it was 3 weeks that we didn't get anything fresh. By the time it started, I swear to you, those fruits and vegetables that came to our door were the most beautiful things I'd ever seen in my life. I missed it so much. So what I want to try to do is I want to try to have some fresh produce on hand at all times. Whether that's just a few beet greens, a few, leaves of lettuce to, add to a dish. Even sprouts are really good. I'm going to be doing some more of those, and I want to do a video on that at some point, actually. A few sprouts to put on your sandwiches or to, top some ramen with. Every little bit counts. And especially since it's adding so many of those micronutrients that you just don't get from store-bought, pre-prepared foods, I think it's really, really important. So I've started a bunch of that. And the last thing I'm doing right now is I am getting my barn rejigged a little bit. I have to send some roosters to freezer camp, as we say in the chicken community. But, this is the circle of life. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing here. And then I have to build out some more quail cages. I don't know if you saw, I had that one very first video. My quail are actually just sort of in an aviary type setting right now. But I don't want to keep that up. It's very hard to control your breeding. It's impossible to control your breeding, really. They're hard to catch, so when you want to process them, it stresses the birds more, It's a much bigger process, and everyone's flying around. Quail are very good little flyers, as far as poultry goes. Yeah, it's a little bit of a nightmare. Some people love it. Some people love it. I don't really. I have not enjoyed keeping them in an aviary. So I'm going to put them in pens. I want to make them fairly sizable so they still have lots of room. But not so much that they're hard to catch. I also want their eggs to be on a rollout tray because quail don't nest in nesting boxes. Quail lay their eggs pretty much wherever they are, whether that's by the food bowl or in their dust bath or, as you saw in that video, underneath the storage cabinet. It's not fun. So no more Easter egg hunts. I'll leave those to the little kids. Yeah, we're done. So yeah, that sort of sums up what we're doing for preps. I'm still going to probably plant some peas that I'm hoping will overwinter and then start really, really early next spring, and probably a few other things here and there. I'm going to experiment with carrots. I'm told that carrots can overwinter and come early in the spring too. We'll see. We'll find out. It's an experiment. I've got lots of seeds right now. I just went through, and another thing I'm going to do a video on actually is I started an experiment. I started checking my seed germination rate because I got to the end of the season. I looked at my tote. One second. I'm going to grab it. I'll show you. It's a disaster. Look at that thing. It's packed full. I've got the seeds like organized now, at least to their various types, and the pockets. There's a really great tote. My sister-in-law gave it to me. Wonderful sister-in-law. Love you. Yeah, it's a disaster. So I had to figure out which my seeds were too old, that I wasn't going to keep, that just wouldn't germinate well anymore. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I don't know if you can tell, probably not, but this garden is actually quite a bit bigger now. It used to be about 10 by 12-ish. We're not really sure because we didn't measure. It was just sort of a guesstimate. And plus it was like kind of lozenge shaped. It wasn't square at all. Oh, there's my coda. He's digging. Say hi to the puppy. Yeah, it was vaguely lozenge shape. It wasn't square at all. So my rows ended up all kind of wonky and not very good. So my mother, bless her heart, came and helped me dig this out a little bit wider, help me get it square. So now it is 17 by 17 feet. So we're gonna have a lot more planting space, which is super exciting. I'm gonna plant so much of this spring. It's gonna be great. And yeah, hopefully we'll get everything in much, much sooner in the spring because this past year, it was not in early enough. We got about 30 pounds of potatoes and that's it. Nobody's surviving on 30 pounds of potatoes for an entire winter. That doesn't work. So even supplementing like quail and chicken eggs, that's not gonna work. So anyway, this year was a little bit of a bust, but there are great things coming up for next year and hopefully also through the winter. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe and be well.